So here's an aerial photograph of the Kailasha temple to Shiva at Ellora, India. And it is named for Shiva's mountain home, which is Mount Kailasha in the Himalayas. So I'm presenting it for you to reflect on a few things. This is a peak of the rock-cut temple. It is amazing as an achievement in terms of kind of the intricate carving of its complex temple world. And then it's amazing because, the idea is that Shiva's home in the mountains, and all temples in the Hindu tradition evoke a mountain. But this is a mountain transformed into a temple mountain. It doesn't just represent a mountain, I'm saying here. It is a mountain. So this is sculpture, right? This is not built. It is sculpture on a vast architectural scale. But it's also the end of a tradition. Because just as I mentioned in the Mamallapuram video, these kinds of rock-cut temples are so hard, take so much time, that really the future is going to be constructing them out of stone. Because it's just not realistic to make a mountain out of a mountain anytime you need a mountain temple. So we're going to be moving from the rock-cut cave temple as a tradition to the tradition of the constructed temple. And this movement to the constructed temple coincides with temples growing increasingly magnificent and complex under royal patronage, where they are built by a king who has a commanding presence and is making the temple magnificent in homage to the god, but also as a way of making his own kingship seem god-like. So that's an important point to keep in mind. Another important point to keep in mind is that we have a very specific language of the temple. A set of elements go into a Hindu temple that are standard. But those standard designs have some important variations depending on whether they are in the north, where there is a northern style versus the southern style. So if we look back at Mamallapuram and we were looking at that unfinished rock-cut temple, it is an example of the southern temple style because well, let me back up for a minute. All Hindu temples give us a platform. They will have sculptures. They have a mandapa, which is the kind of hallway, if you will, into the innermost sanctum, where the innermost sanctum of the innermost sanctum is the Garbhagriha, the sacred womb space that we talked about. And then you have a superstructure, which is your cosmic mountain. And in the south, that is got a kind of pyramid silhouette. And that cosmic mountain is capped off with what is called a capstone, which is shaped like, I don't know, like it does look like one of those hats that's, I don't know, that skateboarders wear in the winter, a kind of a cap. So in terms of the southern temple, one of the grandest examples is the Rajarashvara temple. So Raj means royalty. So this is the temple to Raja's Lord Shiva. And this is discussed at length in the video you're going to be watching. It is very grandiose in its scale. It's honoring both Shiva and Raja, who's a king of kings, he's calling himself. So we have what we're seeing here is the temple as a statement of kingship, where the height, the magnificence and power are certainly appropriate to the god, but they're also declaring the magnificence and power of the king. And we have this incredible, overwhelming sculptural complexity where you have niche sculpture upon niche sculpture. You have miniature shrines repeating as if infinite, as if there's a kind of infinite energy of worship in this mighty mountain. So as a southern style temple, we've got our pyramid shaped tower, right? This kind of pyramidal silhouette. We have our round capstone, and that is the same size as the Garbhagriha, which is directly below. And you have in your axis mundi, the implied line from here to through the Garbhagriha, the innermost sanctum, is an axis mundi, and that's true also in the north. So the difference is that the north, look at the capstone, is shaped in a more flat way, often compared to a kind of cushion-like crowning stone. And you have a curvilinear tower, and you have multiple towers over the mandapa. So you still have here this amazing sense of complex, magnificent, almost infinite detail, as if you're getting this with multiple towers upon towers of different height, as if you have a unified mountain range. And so the other difference is, so here you can really see in this design, the mandapa, the passageway into the interior, from the exterior to the interior, which is from ordinary world into the sacred meeting place of the deity. And you have more towers creating this little mountain range along that passageway, which is different than what you saw here in the south, where you had kind of a flat roofed mandapa. And remember, whether it's the northern style or the southern style, this temple is a site for a multicolorful, multimedia experience of ritual. So the temple is not just the stone, but the performance, the ceremony, the rituals that go with the experience of the temple, and allow the temple to become the site where you have the experience of darshan and the puja, the offerings.